Stop aiming for $5 million. It is a psychological trap. I have seen engineers hit this number, look at their dashboard, and feel more insecure than when they had zero. Here is why that number is lying to you. You tell yourself, just one more vesting cliff. Just one more year to pad the college fund. But the goalpost has legs. It moves. And while you are chasing it, you are losing the only asset you cannot earn back. This is the one more year syndrome. It is an epidemic in Silicon Valley. You run the Monte Carlo simulations, and they say 99% success rate. But your brain screams about the 1%. You obsess over a 2000-style dot-com crash or a 2008 recession happening the day after you hand in your badge. Let me show you the math of fear. Most of you are calculating your freedom number based on a static withdrawal rate against a volatile market. You are assuming your spending is rigid. That is an engineering flaw. You are building a bridge for a 100-ton tank when you are only driving a sedan. The agitation is real because the golden handcuffs are comfortable. At a FANG company, you have free food, great insurance, and a predictable RSU refresh. Leaving that feels like stepping out of an airlock into the void. But the oxygen in that airlock is getting thin, and you know it. What nobody tells you about the 4% rule in a high-inflation tech hub is that it is actually too conservative for flexible people. If you are willing to adjust your spending during a downturn, the math changes completely. The Trinity Study assumes you are a robot who spends the exact same inflation-adjusted amount every year. You are not a robot. You are an engineer. You optimize. The first secret is the yield shield. Instead of selling stocks when the market is down, you live off dividends and interest. You build a cash tent 2 to 3 years of living expenses in high-yield cash equivalents. This buys you the psychological safety to ignore the red arrows on your brokerage app and prevent sequence of returns risk. Next, let's talk about the healthcare monster. This is the number one reason people stay. What about insurance? Here is the insider playbook: you subsidize it. If you manage your realized income correctly through Roth conversions and capital gains harvesting, you can actually qualify for ACA subsidies, even with a multi-million-dollar portfolio. Then there is the identity crisis. You are a senior staff engineer at Google. That is who you are. Who are you on a Tuesday morning with no stand-up? This existential dread masquerades as financial anxiety. I have seen colleagues retire with $10 million and return to work 6 months later because they were bored. You must engineer your escape to something, not just from the code mines. Let's run the numbers on one more year. If you have $3 million saved and you work one more year to add $300,000, you have barely moved the needle on your safe withdrawal rate. But you have traded 2,000 hours of prime health. The spreadsheet does not lie, but it does not measure regret. At a certain net worth, time becomes the only scarce resource. Now, consider the die with zero philosophy. Most engineers are terrified of running out of money, so they die with the richest graveyard plot. If you oversave, you are essentially working for free for your heirs or the government. Your consumption curve will naturally decline as you age. You won't be traveling the world at 85 the way you can at 45. Now, I know what you're thinking, but what about a black swan event? What if the market stays flat for a decade? This is where the guardrails approach comes in. It is a feedback loop. If the portfolio drops, you cut discretionary spending. Research shows that a simple 10% cut in spending during down years virtually eliminates failure risk. Let's talk about geo-arbitrage. This is your ultimate safety valve. If the US economy implodes, you have the option to live like a king in Portugal or Thailand for a fraction of the cost. The Nomad part of Silicon Valley Nomad isn't just about travel, it is about optionality. Geographic diversification is just as important as asset diversification. The tax tail wags the dog. Many of you are hoarding money in pre-tax 401ks, creating a tax bomb. You need a Roth conversion ladder strategy immediately. Don't let the IRS be the biggest beneficiary of your RSUs. Plan your exit tax strategy now, while you still have the W-2 income to pivot. Finally, the concept of enough. In engineering, we define constraints. We define done. Why haven't you defined done for your wealth? 5 million is an arbitrary number. Calculate your actual burn rate, add a 20% buffer, and multiply by 25. Anything past that is ego-optimizing a system that is already production-ready. I knew a principal engineer. Net worth 6 million. Kept saying one more year for 5 years. He finally quit at 52. 6 months later, he had a stroke. He recovered, but he can't hike the trails he dreamed about. The markets hit all-time highs while he was in rehab. The money didn't save him. Contrast that with a PM I mentored. She left at 2.5 million. She uses a variable withdrawal rate. She spends winters in South America. Her portfolio has actually grown in the last 3 years despite withdrawals. She engineered her life for memories, not maximum account balance. She won the game. The data from the Trinity Study, updated for modern valuations, suggests a 3.5% withdrawal rate is bulletproof for 40-year horizons. On 5 million, that is $175,000 a year. If you can't be happy on $175,000 passive income, the problem isn't the money. The problem is your lifestyle inflation. Before this video, you thought 5 million was the safety line. Now you know it is just a moving target fueled by fear. You have the math. You have the guardrails. The only thing missing is the courage to execute. Engineer your escape. Don't let the golden handcuffs turn into a golden coffin. If you want the exact spreadsheet I used to track this, check the link below. Subscribe for more insider playbooks. I'll see you in the next one.